Hello, and welcome to Anno Talk. All
All
things
things
anodizing.
anodizing.
I got to slow it down, George.
No. You actually were on the right pace. It's just I slowed down too much this time. We really just had to barrel through it. I think that's the way to do it, honestly.
Okay. Well, we're going to need this podcast to carry us through because airlines have started to issue delays and giving you refunds if you're not going to, can avoid traveling tomorrow because of the snow, George.
Oh yeah.
We're going to get 20 inches of snow up here. What do you think about that, Tage? You're going to get like 36 down there in Chicago.
Oh, is that what it says? Because my flight to LA leaves at 12:45 or 12:45 p.m. So I'll be on my way to sunny California when you guys are getting dumped on.
Lucky
I'm
you.
supposed to be out sooner than that. I need to share this with you. Going to my grandson's birthday party in San Diego. So you'll be in LA. I'll be in San Diego.
Oh, how old is your
lucky you.
grandson turning?
Mads Joseph Spencer is going to be 1 year old.
Oh, that's
Aw.
he gets that. He gets to go to town on that cake, Mark.
Yeah,
It's a smash cake birthday.
Get him like some chocolate cake and just like all over your face.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean he won't look as good as George's. I can't say Fu Manchu, but whatever he's got going on.
That's what it is, and it's just what it is. You're totally allowed to say it.
I can? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I thought it was old school. Isn't there some like young kids today or?
It's old school, but that's just the name of it.
Okay. And Tage, he just shaved like 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah, I had to get I took my Norelco. I was in the bathroom, but this is what happens. I only got 5 minutes.
Phew, there it is.
Exactly.
So what an exciting topic we're going to be talking about. But let's not, let's slow our roll down and let's meet the industrial. How do you say it, George? Is it industrial?
It's whatever you want in your heart, Mark. Whatever your heart desires.
Let's meet Kevin Janis, business development manager at Reliant Aluminum Products. Welcome, Kevin.
Yay!
Thank you. Good to be here.
Oh, it's good to have you, especially with all the technology issues you were having just recently with iPhones and all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's a great world we live in, but we're always on that thread of not being able to do the things we want to do because now we're dependent on the technology that makes life easy.
And look at you with that facial hair. What's up? Everyone's got facial hair. I don't get this. All right.
It's to keep us warm in the winter, Mark.
Very good. Yeah. Okay. And Kevin, where are you calling in from?
So I'm based out of Wausau, Wisconsin. Our headquarters is High Point, North Carolina, and I choose to live in the upcoming snow bomb.
Yeah. In Wausau.
Yeah, Wausau is an interesting. You've come through here quite a bit, Mark, and Wausau is a very interesting place for aluminum finishing. I'd be kind of curious per capita if there isn't more aluminum produced in Wausau, Wisconsin than any other area of the country, because there's quite a few extrusion presses in this little place in northern Wisconsin, and I think it's all based on someone having great vision of transitioning from the wood products into aluminum products. But it's a pretty interesting little town for aluminum, surprisingly.
I thought you were going to go there. You're going to talk about anodizing, because I was going to say I think Chicago, feels like they have the mark on anodizing per capita. But
I'm talking poundage of aluminum. I've never been an extruder, so I have no business talking about pounds of aluminum, but here I am.
Yeah. Here you are. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about careers in aluminum finishing. That's pretty exciting. But again, slow the roll. Let's learn about you. So why don't you give us your background, the 411. Is that relevant there, Tage?
It is. Yeah, that's the right way of doing it, Mark. You're picking up on some stuff now. Look at you. You keep on listening to Rihanna on the way into work. You're going to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay, enough about us. Let's talk to our guest.
Well, my career started out, I ended up majoring in exactly what I thought I was, but I went a pretty roundabout way, but I ended up majoring in chemistry and philosophy, which you know, and in theory sounds like an odd combination, but you know, a lot of the early scientists were basically philosophers, and science itself is kind of a philosophy question, you know, how ways of knowing, and you know, what is the real world? How do we intuit it, and all those things. So it's not as incompatible as it may sound. So after graduating, well, of course, a philosophy major is going to say that. But after graduating from college, I went to work for a chemical engineering company in the greater Chicago area. By the company's name is UOP, and they were kind of a petroleum engineering licensing company. Very, very interesting history for that company. They were created by a successful patent defense that was bankrolled by the Arm and Hammer group against the Rockefeller, and they won. And every single basically product that came from oil was patented and had to pay a royalty. So this company, you know, started off that way, and it went through this really incredible history. So I was involved in research and development for that company, and did something a little bit different in research and development, where I was involved in what's called manufacturing science, which was to take a successful bench product or process and try to scale it up and see if it would work on an industrial level. So it was kind of neat from that perspective. And where I got into aluminum finishing was one of my projects was doing coatings on aluminum, and we were coating the material that we use in catalytic converters before they get heated. It's called a cold start. It holds all the bad stuff until the catalytic converter is heated up and then releases it. And so we are using that product and doing absorption cooling, which was to take waste heat and regenerate a water bath that was used evaporative cooling into this zeolite, a molecular sieve it's also called. And I was working with these solutions and trying to coat them on aluminum radiators. And so I got involved in aluminum from that way. And then my first foray into anodizing was using anodizing as a pretreatment for this process. And so that's how I got started, was from there. I left research and development. I wanted to be more involved in the actual processes and be with people, because my lab was under barbed wire, you know, razor wire, keeping people out. And you know, I enjoyed it, but it really kind of, you didn't feel part of things. So I wanted to be more part of what was going on. So I got into operation management from R&D, and that was my first job in anodizing in 1999 at Line Tech here in Wausau, Wisconsin.
Okay. So you got your BS in chemistry and philosophy, but then you also have another degree, do you not?
Yeah, so I went back and got my law degree. So when I left Line Tech, I went to work in Asia, where you and I met at a former company you worked for in southern China.
Mhm.
And when I was going to leave China and I didn't really have a job, you know, what does an American do when you don't have a job and you don't know what you want to do? You go to law school. That's the way it used to be. Now it's not so much the case, but certainly in the early 2000s, that's what you did.
Oh yeah.
And so I ended up going to law school and got my law degree. And I did that. I went to law school part-time while I was doing a technical service and sales territory for Clarion at the time.
Mhm.
And you know, just went through that. And I was I was going to transition into full-time law practice. And then an event happened to me, having a kid, and that changed. And so instead of going into uncertainty, I stayed with what was certain, so that we could, so my wife could stay home, for those formative years. And so then I didn't end up pursuing, I didn't end up pursuing a direct legal career, but obviously a law degree is something that has a lot of benefit, no matter what you're doing.
Sure. So you know how to argue.
Yes.
You know how to debate.
Yes, probably.
How does that work with your child?
Well, he wants to be an engineer, but he's very rule oriented and very, he would make a good lawyer, and he argues all the time. So, now my wife is a lawyer too, so that doesn't help.
Ah, there you go.
So
Does she practice today?
yeah, she does.
Okay. Now, your alma mater, undergrad,
Yes.
where was that?
Madison. So University of Wisconsin, and my law degree. So a Badger 2 times over.
Badger through and through.
Yeah, Badger through and through. My
That's-
wife is the same thing. My wife is a undergrad Badger, law degree Badger.
Yeah.
So my
Aw.
father was alumni. So we're
Oh, wow.
pretty much Wisconsin Badgers through and through.
Okay. Favorite experience at Camp Randall?
The first was the 1990 game when we had beat Michigan for the first time, and it was memorable because that was when the trampling incident happened, and because it was Barry Alvarez first coming in and turning basically the whole sports program turned around with Barry Alvarez in 1990. So
Was Ron Dane on that team, Kevin?
no, he was a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you been there for the jump around?
Yes.
Is that as crazy as it seems?
It is it's like all Southern college teams, everything. I mean, the college sports scene is just it's an incredible amount of energy. It's real love of the game with the fans. I mean, it's just a great overall experience.
Wait, someone tell me what jump around is.
Oh, see this, George. Oh my gosh.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, quick YouTube, you'll see it.
Okay.
It is what the fans do at Wisconsin when they score a touchdown. They basically jump up and down. In some
Whoa,
cases,
whoa,
they
whoa.
raise a fellow student and push them up and down in the
Oh.
crowd.
Well, that's
Well,
fun.
actually,
That has not
Dave,
happened to me.
wait a minute. Isn't that happening between third and fourth quarter? That's what
Yeah,
I'm
That's typically when they do it, but I mean it's at basketball games, it's hockey, everyone in the sports, they bring it in.
Yeah, and it's just the whole stadium is just going nuts.
George, as a fellow Northwestern alum, you and I will never get to experience something like that. So it's one of those things where
Yeah.
we get to live vicariously through other large Big Ten state
That's-
schools.
That's okay. There was a brief period when we were close, right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
having a good year this year in basketball. We're actually
Okay.
number 2 in the Big Ten. So,
Oh, wow.
even a broken watch is right 2 times in a day.
I was very close to being going to Northwestern too. It was between because at the time they had a really good program for a 4-year master's. So I really debated, and it was just came down to in-state tuition versus
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Northwestern. So
It's not an inconsequential amount.
no.
No, not at all.
And my sister got to go out of state, so therefore I didn't, because she was older. So I could have gone out of state, but it would have been more on my dime, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Where did she end up going?
Colorado State.
Okay.
Miners? No, Rams.
Rams?
Yeah.
Rams.
Yeah. Isn't that in Fort Collins?
Yes.
Great brewery in Fort Collins.
I was there. Well, when the AAC was in Denver, I think I had driven up to Fort Collins just to see it again, because I spent a lot of time out there. I almost went to do doctorate work at Fort Collins,
Oh.
and how much it's grown is just incredible. The whole east side of the interstate used to be nothing, and now it's like now you're driving through, basically a large suburban area on both sides. It's very incredible how much that area has grown.
Fat Tire, name of the brewery. If you're out in Fort Collins, stop there. Good. All right. So, Kevin, you've been in this industry for 32 years.
No, that's making me older than I am. I've been in this industry. I was thinking it's really anodizing since 1999. So going into my 25th year in aluminum finishing, if you will, for over 25.
There we go. Okay, over 25. See, they asked me to count to 3. Nancy will between segments, and I struggle with that. So thank you for that. You've seen a lot of things, I would imagine.
Yes.
Craziest thing you've seen in anodizing?
Well, I always say that, my time in China was probably the most interesting, and you see really incredible lines. So that, like a line, like a really modern vertical anodizing line. And then my favorite was a wood fired line. And it was
What?
with a bright dip wood fired line.
What?
Yes. No, and you had to slog through a foot of liquid, which could be bright dip. So
That sounds terrible. What the what?
okay, so as a chemist, you're not supposed to smell things, right? You're not supposed
Yeah.
but I do all the time. Like smell is a big part of,
Okay.
like how a mid-temperature seal smells. There's a smell to a properly functioning
There is.
temperature seal.
There is.
There is. So the smell of bright dip and wood smoke mixed together was actually very pleasant.
Really?
Yeah, it's something that was my most surreal experience was standing in 6 inches of something and smelling wood smoke and bright dip fumes all coming together. So it was amazing.
I've never actually smelled a bright dip tank, but it's mostly phosphoric acid. So would it just smell like
it's the
Coke?
NOx. You don't really want to smell it.
Oh, okay. Okay. That just smells like dead then, right?
The wood smoke actually did a pretty good job of collecting, fumes and taking it to the ceiling and then escaping.
Okay.
So it was,
Okay.
I don't know if it was effective from an OSHA perspective, and I probably don't want to know, but it was a really surreal experience.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, I don't even know where to start. Don't even know. What was it? Was it like just regular hardwood, or
Was it mesquite?
was it cherry wood?
They had a big pile, they had a big old wood pile in the back, and just I can't imagine that there wasn't a lot of variability, because I can't see how your temperature regulation of your tank is very good.
Yeah, you know what? Something just occurred to me. When you're like preserving meat, you can smoke it or you can nitrite it.
Mhm.
Are you kind of doing the same, like both at the same time?
Might be a stretch on that one.
I wouldn't be eating any street meat from this anodizer.
I did not eat lunch at that company, so
Okay.
that was also one of the fun things about being over in China is oftentimes, well, most of the companies, they served their employees at least 2 meals. And so
Mhm.
sometimes you'd be at a shop and you sit down with a whole bunch of people and eat a communal dinner.
Oh,
And
that's really
that was
neat.
really kind of an interesting thing. And of course, being a Westerner, people were very, very interested in me, and
Oh, I'm sure.
so it was in, you end up answering more questions than asking, because you didn't get a chance to ask questions, but you'd certainly get to know people on a much different level than like a norm, like we'll go out to lunch with some people, but not the average person on a line, and here you are
Yeah.
breaking, sitting down and eating food with some line workers and having them ask you questions and about your life and what life is like in your neck of the world and everything. And so that was a very interesting times.
Do you think we should be doing more of that here? Like just everyone just talking to people on the line and just talking about their lives and that sort of thing?
I always think of, the idea of breaking bread with people is primal, goes way, way back. And
Yeah.
it's in a way, it's a way to make those simple connections that are often become more deep, even though it's a simple act of eating together. Look at it like our own functions. When you sit down at lunch at a convention, AAC convention or wherever, and you're
Mhm.
meeting people that you never talked to before, and you start, you start talking, and the next thing you know, you end up with this connection with somebody, and it extends beyond that conference. So for
Yeah.
me, as I get older, I look to those simple things a lot more than when I was younger. And in terms of making those type of connections, it's just the way that we bond, and it's what we've done for millions, or not millions, but certainly tens of thousands of years. So we can't negate the importance of those simple activities and making those simple connections.
So what I'm hearing is you need to start doing a philosophical treatment of how we should operate as an anoditis industry and what kind of things we can sort of do to, I don't know, move forward in a general sense.
Well, that does kind of go, that's dovetail with kind of the topic at hand, because one of the problems that a lot of the people in the industry are having is the recruitment component. And,
Oh yeah.
Employees of, the younger employees today are looking for a lot more meaningful of an experience. It's in a way, it's not enough just to come in and punch a clock and I come at 9, I leave at 5 or 8 to 4, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of people are looking for a lot more meaning a lot more meaning in their job. And, it's hard. One of the things I do outside of anodizing is I'm involved in scouting. So, because my son's in Cub Scouts. So, so the idea is that, the things that we do from a job perspective that have substantial impact on our community there's not very many things. And I always joke, it's not a joke. Garbage collecting's done. So you look at a garbage collector has done more for human health than all the medical profession out there. People that deal with sanitation of water, of sewage, they've done more for human health than almost anybody else. So the really big things are taken. So then it's about making those small differences in our lives, and certainly in our companies. The companies that people want to come work for, even if they're doing the same thing, are the ones that are doing better than the companies that people don't want to work for because they can't attract the right people.
Yeah, I'm really excited about hearing you talk about, a lot of those things when it comes to talking about recruiting and stuff like that.
So Kevin, you've spent a day and you're on the road, you're calling on anodizers. What do you do to chillax? Relax at the end of the day?
Well, I fought the YouTube thing, with my nephew, and I didn't understand it. And then all of a sudden you see, I spend a lot of time watching YouTube now because you can really consolidate, what you want to see. And, technology to me has the benefit of advancing you, or it can make you, it can really take you down a bad path or non-productive path. Now we need that sometimes as well. So I always use myself. On YouTube, there's these 3 German Shepherds, and the owner has them try all these foods and they react. And I think it's pretty funny. So I can sit there and watch that for a while, but then the other things you can watch, they're really productive. And my other thing I like to do is I'm a big wilderness canoe tripper. And there are people that make a living taking these incredible canoe trips and documenting it. And, the fact that they share those experiences, and you can learn a lot by watching them. If whatever kind of subject matter you're into, you find the right expert that's out there that's putting out this content, and you can learn a ton. And so, like, when I'm on the road, I'll end up spending more time than I should watching YouTube.
Well, I mean, traveling's hard, right? Like, you have to relax.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, I guess mosquitoes don't bother you, because if you come up when you're out canoeing, isn't that aren't you just prime meat in the evening?
Yeah, there's a psychological thing on that, because there are some people that they really bother, and there's some people that don't. And sometimes when you accept that they're out there and that if they're not going to bother you, they actually don't seem to bite you as much. So I think there's a psychological component to what you put out, so, but yeah, the mosquitoes I can handle. Black flies are the difference. Like, black flies are the bane of because there's almost nothing you can do. You can't, chemically speaking, you can't really fight them. You have to use almost 100% DEET, and having that in your skin is just not enjoyable. And so those are my nemesis. I don't know how to deal with those things, and they bite you, and they're not pleasant.
How long have you been involved with the Aluminum Anodizers Council?
Yeah, I thought you'd ask me that, and so I was thinking back, and my first convention was 1999 in Dallas, and since 1999 I think I missed one in 2003, And then I think maybe it was 08 or 09 in San Francisco. I missed that one. Other than that, I've been to almost every single AAC. So I've been involved on committees as well. So I was involved in the membership committee early on. I've been involved in committees, throughout that time I've been with the AAC too. So I've quite a bit of time. Not as much as some people, but I'm kind of getting up there.
Well, since 1999,
that's a solid chunk of time there. Wow.
Right.
Yep.
Right. What do you see the benefits of the fall conference?
Well, certainly, like there's no place you can go and get the consolidated, training and information. Like I always say that, when I was an anodizer, whenever I came to the show, I always came away with at least one or two things, thinking about one or two things, and kind of almost a rejuvenation and an interest in making improvements on my line. Now it's, for me now it's meeting some new people that are coming up in the industry, meeting old people that I've known for a long time, and just kind of that getting together to talk about our industry and to share our experiences. Those are things that have a huge benefit. The networking from a younger, from when you're young in your career, you're not going to get a better networking opportunity.
What's been your favorite? Do you have a good story from an AAC conference?
Ooh, well, some of the tours, that have been really good. Like I think it was 04 when we were in Atlanta. I had brought my translator from China over, and that was when we toured the F-22 Raptor.
Oh, cool.
That was being made, and I couldn't go on that because I had a Chinese national. There's no way we could get in. So that was one I wish I wouldn't have missed. But certainly, like seeing the F-16 production in Dallas was just amazing. And that just blew me away. Just to see those F-16s and how big of a facility it was, and in a way, fortunately, it's not being, they weren't packed with planes, because that's, if they're making plane after plane, probably the world's not in good shape. So in some ways you don't want to see those things rolling, just rolling off the, the production line.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up, George, Tage, what else?
I've got
it was
nothing.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, super interesting.
Okay. So Kevin, look, we thank you for your time on allowing us to get to know you. We're meeting the industrial figure. We'll talk to you again to glean your thoughts about careers in aluminum finishing. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay.
We want to thank our listening audience for tuning in to another podcast of Ano Talk.
All things anodizing.
Anodizing.